The Washington Redskins moved on from Jay Gruden. The prime candidate's got to be the number one guy that I think a lot of teams are going to go with, the look towards, is Oklahoma head coach Lincoln Riley. And he's got to be one of the hottest coaches just for the amount of success that he's had at Oklahoma, leading them to college football playoffs, but mainly developing quarterbacks. You know, he's been able to turn Baker Mayfield from a two-time walk-on to the number one overall pick. Then he brought in Kyler Murray, who kind of hadn't really done anything at Texas A&M. He was a half baseball player, half football player, number one overall pick. Now you see what he's doing with Jalen Hurts, potentially another top 10 quarterback, third year in a row. The NFL hired Cliff Kingsbury because he had worked with Patrick Mahomes and worked with Baker Mayfield for a little bit. If he was going to get hired based off of that, Lincoln Riley definitely is on everyone's radar. Now, I don't think Lincoln Riley is going to consider this job. He's got it pretty good at Oklahoma. He's getting top quarterback recruits. He's getting top players. They're winning the Big 12. They're going to the college football playoff. He's basically going to have a pick of whatever job he wants. And you would think the Atlanta Falcons are another job that's going to become an opening. I like him as a better fit there. You've got Matt Ryan. You've got Julio Jones. You've got Calvin Ridley. They've got a lot of pieces on offense for him to work. At Washington, he'd have Dwayne Haskins. He'd have Terry McLaurin. Darius Geis if he can stay healthy. That's about it. At Atlanta, he has a lot more to work with. I think the Dallas Cowboys, if they choose to move on from Jason Garrett, would be another possibility for Lincoln Riley to go to. I don't think he's going to leave Oklahoma to go to the dysfunctional Washington Redskins. We'll look at some of the other candidates. I think the assistants, you've got Chris Richard, who's the defensive coordinator for Dallas. I don't know if he's, him and Rod Marinelli kind of share the defensive coordinator title. And Richard's the one that calls the plays. And Dallas's defense has really taken a big step since Chris Richard's been there. He was tremendous in Seattle. For whatever reason, he had a falling out with Pete Carroll. I think he's one of the top candidates. Matt Eberflus, who's with the Indianapolis Colts, is their defensive coordinator. Here's another guy that comes in. He was supposed to be Josh McDaniels' defensive coordinator. Was with the Cowboys as their linebackers coach. You see what the Colts were able to do last year with their defense, and even this year, he's definitely a hot candidate. I don't think either of them are going to go to the Washington Redskins. Similar to Lincoln Riley, they're the hot kind of names. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator with the Chiefs, an Andy Reid protege. These are your top young assistants. They're going to kind of be able to pick and choose where they go because, like I said before with Lincoln Riley, the Cowboys could be open. The Steelers shouldn't be open, but they could be. The Falcons are probably going to be open. There might be another job. They get to kind of pick and choose. And they don't have to go to the Redskins just to get a head coaching job because if they pass on a job this year, chances are there's going to be another job next year. So who are the realistic candidates for the Redskins? I think they're going to struggle to find who they want because a lot of people have seen that Daniel Snyder doesn't have a good track record of hiring coaches. He meddles a lot. The coaching staff did not want to take Dwayne Haskins. They wanted to take Daniel Jones was the rumor. But everyone knew that Daniel Snyder wanted Dwayne Haskins, so everyone knew that's who they were going to pick, and that's who they picked. And as we're seeing, he kind of meddles in those situations. So once again, if we look at his history of coaching hires, he just hired an offensive coordinator up in Jay Gruden. Does he go with the retread hire? Could he go with a guy like, there's a couple top retreads that I think could get shots. Chuck Pagano almost got the Broncos job last year. Jim Schwartz had success in Detroit. He's doing really well as defensive coordinator in Philly. Gus Bradley was, inconsistent with the Jaguars, but they're all defensive guys. Okay, is Mike McCarthy an option here? He would kind of fill that retread type role. Heck, their current interim head coach, Bill Callahan, is a guy who was a former head coach both in the NFL and in college. Took the Raiders to the Super Bowl. He's currently their, one of the best offensive line coaches. Could he work this into being the permanent head coaching job? Okay. What if they do go the assistant route? Okay. Think about this for a second. Under Mike Shanahan, they had an assistant on their staff, Mike Shanahan's son, Kyle, who's tearing it up with the 49ers. Okay. When Gruden was first hired, on his staff as an assistant, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. Hey, both of those, we all know about McVay. LaFleur is having success with the Packers this year as their head coach. Hey, is he going to look and say, okay, we had these guys on our staff. We need to go get someone in that type of tree. Who might that be? Well, Shane Waldron is the he's the passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach for the Los Angeles Rams. Could he go to Sean McVay and pluck Waldron from him? Could he pluck Aaron Kromer, who's the offensive line coach for the Rams? Okay? We all know that the running joke is if you shook hands with Sean McVay, you're going to get a head coaching job. Well, you have an owner who had McVay in his building, probably thinks highly of him now. Is he going to just jump the gun and pluck someone like that away? Okay? Could happen. There's also a rumor out there that the Redskins could promote current offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell to the head coaching position. Kevin O'Connell is a former player, former quarterback. He'd been with the Patriots. He'd been with the Detroit Lions. Went into coaching pretty quickly. Could he be a guy that they promote? Could Daniel Snyder say, okay, we had all these good assistants. Could we currently have one on our staff right now? I mean, that's the rumor that's out there. Being reported by the Washington Post that many in the league have convinced that Redskins will eventually promote offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell. His career ended in 2012. This is his first year as the offensive coordinator. They said that, it could be a desperation type move, but because they've had McVay, they've had these other guys, could they, if Daniel Snyder really likes Kevin O'Connell and thinks he's that future, it wouldn't shock me that they make this move. It is the Washington Redskins. This is a team that had Mike Zorn as their head coach, who no one thought was going to be a head coach. So something to kind of consider. That's the rumor. I don't know if that's the favorite. I know there's talk that Daniel Snyder really likes Mike Tomlin, and he's going to throw the moon at him to come. This should be fascinating to see. I don't think they're going to get one of those top head coaches unless they, promise the moon and they get a hire. They're going to move on from Bruce Allen. They're going to hire their own person. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think they're going to either get a retread, or they're gonna promote someone who's not quite ready for this job, and like a Kevin O'Connell.